After 1230, if you look at the pipe rolls, which are the legal records of England, you find lots of individuals calling themselves Robin Hood, Robin Hode, Robin Hud, various variations of the name appearing in the pipe rolls of England, coming up for outlawry or theft or problems with the law, a lot of them. And when people are trying to work out who might be the real Robin Hood, they look at these and there's dozens of people. And they're all kind of possible contenders. But a recent theory suggests that actually none of them were, or if one of them was, we would never know. But that people were using that name because it was glamorous. Because if you call yourself Bonnie and Clyde and you go around robbing banks in the American Midwest in the 1930s, it's much more glamorous than just being Jim and Jill doing the same thing. So by taking on the name, you take on some of the glamour of this probably fictitious guy. You've got also Robin Hood Robert is a very common name. William, Robert, and Henry. I mean, something like one third of the aristocracy were called Robert. So you get a lot of people called Robert. Robin's obviously a diminutive of Robert. Hood could mean someone who wore a hood or someone who makes hoods. It could also be someone who lives in the wood, because in some dialects of medieval English, wood and hood are synonyms. Hood would be the word, and it means the same. It sounds the same whether you're meaning a forested area, an area of trees, or head covering. So it could mean Robert. It could mean Robert of the Woods. If you pronounce it in French, it's Robert. It could mean Robert of the Woods. So it could just mean, it could be a job description rather than an actual name. Somebody who lives in the woods and robs people. Anyway, that's one thing. Okay, so there's various other people who some claim are the real models for Robin Hood. Fulk Fitzwarren, who was a marcher lord who rebelled against King John, was declared an outlaw and then pardoned. There was a Norman pirate called Eustace the Monk, who was a particularly nasty piece of work and fought at the Sea Battle of Sandwich. Nottinghamshire and Yorkshire are always bickering about who has the best claim to Robin Hood. However, I say that Kent has the best contender for the title of the real Robin Hood, or the man on whom it was based, in a gentleman called William of Cassingham, or William of Kensham. I discovered him a few years ago, and once I discovered this guy, I had to have him in a book, and he's played a reasonably prominent part in the death of Robin Hood. He's not actually Robin Hood, he goes and fights with Robin Hood and perhaps learns a few tricks from Robin Hood. But Kensham as it now is, I don't know if you know where it is, but it's about 30 miles south of here between Robertsbridge and Tenterden. No? You know roughly well. It's not very far away. This is where this guy, that was his manor, he was the squire of this place. He was also known as Willikin of the Weald. He was born around 1195. When the French invaded in 1216, King John might have run away to the West Country and hid, but Willikin did not. William of Kensham recruited 1,000 longbowmen in the Weald of Kent, which was thickly forested at this time, and he led a very successful guerrilla campaign against the French invading army, killing thousands of them apparently, and massively disrupting their supply lines, which were all coming in across the Channel and through Kent. So he was a very successful guerrilla leader. He had one or two less attractive traits. He liked to cut the heads off every Frenchman he met, which was, again, a little bit de trop, and leaping out and stealing all their money. That was his other chief pleasure. So, as a model for someone who might have been Robin Hood, he's at the right time, except that William of Kensham was a royalist and a supporter of King John. But he's our own Kentish version of Robin Hood, and I think he needs to be much more widely celebrated, in Kent anyway. They get very angry when you say that. I was at a show at the Forest Festival and I made this comment and I was booed. Actually got booed and hissed by the crowd. So, down here it's safe, but anyway. Right. Robin Hood is not a revolutionary. He's not a sort of left-wing guy who wants to bring down authority or the system. He's anti-corruption, in that he thinks that the church is corrupt, which is why he's happy to rob them. But he does not, in any sense, want to change the social order which is ordained by God. I'm talking about the earliest Robin Hoods, not what Hollywood has done and what the Victorians and the Tudors and everybody's done since then. But the very earliest one, he's quite happy with the social order, peasants, yeomen, knights, lords. He's very happy with that. He just thinks everybody should everybody should discharge their duties for the common good. And he doesn't steal from the rich to give to the poor. This is all stuff which I used to inform my own Robin Hood. That was added much, much later. The original Robin is just a thief and a trickster. He loves dressing up, he loves tricking the sheriff and stealing his money. And it's quite a simple character, almost like Loki from the Norse myths or various other trickster characters that you find in African mythology, North American Indians mythology. It's a sort of stock mythological character. Robin Goodfellow is one of the other trickster guys who lives in the wild and tricks incompetent authority figures. So that's basically, he's not really he's not the guy that we know today. I was asked by somebody the other day to write something, and he said, yes, because you could do all the stealing from the rich and giving to the poor stuff, and how does that fit in? And I turned down the job because I had to do something else. But I was thinking, that's the first thing that people will say, is stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, and that is very modern. It's not until Victorian times that we get that. For the 600 years before that, he's a different character. And in fact, the truth about Robin is that every age reinvents him. And my one is the gangster Robin Hood.